Hey guys, so I'm here with Josh. Josh is from London, and right now he's a touring professional tennis player. So, Josh, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course, yeah. So I always lived in London. I grew up in London, playing tennis, sort of probably like you, I'm guessing. About 4 or 5, I started playing with my family. It was always a pretty social thing, like tennis was, it was important in my family. But not that it was like I had a really good parent, but it was like a social thing. So we started to play. I started to play 5, 6 years old. I started to get relatively good. Like I was quite good, sort of a couple of years later. And then it got to sort of 8, 9, and I was into all different sports. Like I love football, I still love. I was into my sports and I had to, what it's like, I have to kind of make a decision. So at probably 8, 9 years old, I just decided to just sort of focus more on tennis. I still played other sports because I think it's important to keep that up. But yeah, I decided to play and I started to play tournaments. I got pretty good, and then just basically doing that for the next sort of few years. And obviously for me, education as well, so I was mixing the two. Which in itself was like a bit of a challenge, as I'm sure you're sort of at that age now. So, it's a challenge, but I think that helped my development as well, just dealing with those two things. So, and then I basically finished school, and then I got a sponsorship opportunity, and sort of for the last 4 or 5 years I've been traveling on tour. And it's great. It's not easy. It's lots of traveling. You sort of when you're in juniors, you're used to going with your family, and it's amazing, and you're playing really nice tournaments, and then you get to a point where you're kind of thrown out into that big world. We'll talk about it after, but that's then you start to deal with real challenges and the real life of a pro tennis player tour.
So, what's a day in the life of Josh look like?
I would say so. I'll vary between 2 to 3 hours on court. It depends. So like if I'm doing a pre-season, I'll do more time on court, but usually like 2.5 to 3 hours, I'd say, and then about an hour and a half in the gym. So I'll start in the morning, I'll do, say, an hour and a half on court, maybe 2 hours, and then in the afternoon I'll do an extra hour where we'll go. So in the morning we'll go more sort of drill stuff and like control to kind of build my game and develop some stuff, and in the afternoon we'll always do like an hour. We usually don't go too long in the afternoon, but we go an hour of like just points and lots of serving, because serving is so important. So lots of serve return, lots of point stuff, and then in the gym, whatever it is we're building towards.
And so you were just talking about the transition from juniors to pros.
Yeah.
How is that like first starting out as a pro, like no points, having to go through the qualifying rounds?
Yeah.
How's that like?
So it's a challenge. I'd say for everyone it's sort of different. I mean, if you're a top junior, you get a different path. So like there are a few guys and a few kids who will kind of skip a little bit of it. But for most people who are not like top 10 in the world juniors or whatever, whether you're not quite developed or whether there's opportunities that you haven't got, whatever it is, most people you have to really sort of battle your way through. So you're going to go play qualies at like futures events and stuff, and you may go to, you're used to playing nice tournaments in juniors. That was the biggest thing I found. So you play nice tournaments, and then you have to then go to play these difficult places. You have to travel like hours away. You might go on your own, you might not be able to go with a coach or whatever. And it's tough, and that, I would say, that challenge, that mental challenge is the hardest part, because it's sort of like you're in a nice easy, it's not easy obviously, but you're in a nice easy sort of tour, and then once you sort of get thrown into the pros, they don't really you're batting against guys who they're not 14 anymore. It's at any age, so you might play an 18-year-old who's a good junior coming up, or you might play like a 27-year-old who's fighting for his life on tour. So I would say the mental battle is the biggest thing. And then another thing is the physical side. So like making sure you're ready before you start traveling is really important.
So what's the best advice that you would give to players 8, 10, 12, 14 years old?
I would say the most important thing, if I was to give you one thing, is just to develop yourself. So not to worry about whether whether you're at the level now between, like you said, like 8 and 14. It's not about whether you're winning or losing. It's about whether you're developing something to actually get to a stage where when you're 23 that you actually have potential to make it, because at the end of the day there's one or two kids at 14 might be amazing, but when you want to be ready when you're 21, 22 to give it a go. So you've got to develop, you've got to have a good coach, someone who knows you, who you can trust, and develop all these things physically, mentally. It's a long road, so be like ready for that.
Well, thank you very much, Josh. That
Of course,
was really
pleasure.
fun.